What is going on, everybody? Yeah, I've been away for quite a while, but your guy is back. Um, Alright, let's see what I can pull up today. Hold on. I should have a video for you guys today. Just don't know where. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Uh, I'm just gonna go with this video right here, because on it, like, before I play the video, guys, our generation, for one reason or another, we are struggling with dating right now. Me, myself, I am not trying to date anybody. My preference is that I just wanna marry somebody. That's just me, though. I can't speak for other elder Zoomers, but I just want to marry. So okay.
I chose Hims because I reached a point where I needed help beyond just diet and exercise.
My clothes are fitting much better. Now, I have so much room to move comfortably.
Seeing results has pushed me to keep going and believe in what's possible for me again.
Even paid for one once, and I haven't had any luck.
I went on the first casual date I've ever been on in my 26 years of life a few weeks ago, and all I have to say is I hate dating. It is terrible.
I'm actually not looking for anything serious right now. Yeah. I kind of just want to have a little fun, you know what I mean? But maybe one day. But right now I'm just not looking to settle down. Yeah.
Oh my god.
How about you?
Yeah, you and every other girl do this.
I
Tell me, why did you come on this date? To begin with.
to get to know you.
You haven't asked any questions about me.
I mean, you've kind of just been like talking the whole time. You don't really give me a chance.
Men are supposed to lead the conversation.
Yeah,
You're supposed to
okay.
contribute.
You just said that you didn't talk to her.
Why are dating apps so difficult, Rand? It's probably not just me lately, but dating seems entirely pointless. Even trying seems pointless. Use multiple different apps, even paid for one once, and I haven't had any luck. Might get a match once in a blue moon, then get ghosted about 4 days later. Honestly, the thought of putting an effort to use them now is just depressing, as it gets me nowhere. Dating right now sucks. I'm a 34-year-old male, reasonably good health, well-paying job, and the women I'm attracted to seem to always be taken or uninterested. I'm doing the things, therapy to work on myself, working out to become more attractive and healthy, trying to get back into activities I used to enjoy, but everything seems dull. I'm not excited about dating anyone. I feel sad almost all the time. I want kids, a soulmate, a lifetime friend, but I'm afraid of committing to something that will end up hurting us both. Tinder rant. 800 likes, exactly 8 matches, been ghosted or ignored all 8 times, and have 0 dates. TLDR, I want to be in love, but corporate America wants me to be sad and poor. So it really seems like things have come to a head recently. Everybody really seems to hate dating, and despite the promise of things like dating apps that were supposed to make dating more accessible, that were supposed to make our lives easier, that are constantly advertised as these ways for us to easily fall in love, it really seems to be doing the opposite and having the opposite effect. A lot of people are pointing out that this doesn't really seem to be an accident, as dating apps have quite literally become a billion-dollar industry. For example, Tinder, since merging with Tinder, Match Group's market capitalization has grown from $8.34 billion to $44.59 billion. And even back in 2015, Tinder was valued at $1.35 billion. Now avoiding loneliness is just a skip, jump, and a $500 a month payment away. And yeah, no, I'm actually not joking, because Tinder actually had a $500 a month plan. Tinder expands, offering an invite-only $499 monthly membership.
To be, 1000% real, guys, I stopped dating, when was it? I believe I stopped dating back in 2020, either 2022 or 2023. I don't know, maybe it was last year. It was, yeah, I want to say 2023. I stopped dating. So,
Tinder Select.
like I said, like I said before, I'm just looking for marriage right now.
Offers users perks beyond those granted to the average swiper. Paying nearly $6,000 a year gives users the chance to see and be seen by the app's, quote, most sought-after profiles, to direct message other profiles without first matching, enjoy early access to new features, turn off advertisements, and sport a badge on their page announcing their select status. And if things couldn't be worse, we're constantly fed the idea that if we aren't in a relationship by a certain age, or that if we aren't in a talking stage constantly, that something is wrong with us physically or mentally. Yay! What a joyous time.
Very true. Well, I can't say for, every elder Zoomer, but for me, kinda, sorta. I mean, nobody really, talks to me about that, but, I mean, hey, the people who don't talk to me about that, they probably realize, yeah, that's none of my business. Let me not, interfere with, that dude's love life, cause it's none of my business. But, before I continue, I am not in, about 2, maybe 3 people know this about me. I am very, what's the word? Non-confrontational being. I don't start fights. I don't like fights at all. If somebody tries to fight me, I will do everything in my power that I can to basically not, like, physically fight them, like, hand to hand, cause, yeah, I'm getting up there in age, guys, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm an uncle, what am I doing?
Everybody, my name is Justin Jordan, and today we're diving into the absolute insanity of modern dating. We're going to be talking about a lot of things involving dating, like dating apps, red flag culture, and its mirror opposite is what I'm going to be referring to as enabling culture, the absolute absurdity of modern beauty standards, and just why so many of us feel so lonely now. Now,
Yep.
Before we get too far into this, I am just going to say this. You're beautiful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. The way that you look, your face, your body is the result of generations of people who loved each other. I know that sounds corny, but I feel like in the modern day, a lot of us just need that because literally every time we scroll on social media, we see happy couples, we see people who are extremely attractive. And I think a lot of the reality of how most people look, a lot of the reality of how much money, how much time is put into people looking a certain way is totally not shown, is totally forgotten on social media. But yeah, the state of dating seems to be absolutely awful, at least according to y'all. I made a poll asking how people felt about dating apps, and out of over 1,000 votes, a whopping 85% of you said the state of dating is absolutely abysmal, and y'all cited dating apps and a combination of other factors. So I asked, how do y'all feel about the state of dating? Research for next vid. The options were it's abysmal, dating apps play a major role in this, it's abysmal, it's a combination of dating apps and other factors, it's all right, and it's great. Plurality of y'all said it was abysmal, citing a combination of dating apps and other factors, and a lot of people did offer a lot of insight into why people think that dating apps and the state of dating overall is just in the gutter. Emily said, we've lost so many third spaces that dating apps are almost inevitable. Also, the political climate and heights of violence make it terrifying for a woman to meet a man she doesn't know alone. I feel like modern day men always have some sort of phobic or ism that makes it feel like we're supposed to be single or spend days, if not years, attempting to fix their hatred for parts of humanity itself. But there were also success stories. I met my wife on a dating app, so there are success stories, but I feel like a lot of people expect the dating apps to somehow expedite the process of a relationship when in reality it's just a way to start contact. Just like if you're looking to start a date anywhere else, you'll have weirdos, and in those cases block and move on. It's much safer to do that on an app than in real life. Sinsmoth said, dating apps were the beginning of the end, but the COVID pandemic really impacted all aspects of socialization. Dating apps aim to make dating accessible, and as everything else switched to be online as well, people began to view socialization in real life as a legit chore. Now everyone's kind of disillusioned with society. I think a lot of people are seeing problems with society and failing to notice how interacting IRL helps hold things together instead of letting things fall apart. Community, more specifically tangible community, has become the weakest it has ever been in a time where it is the most needed. And I just want to emphasize that while we will be talking about dating apps, I feel like a lot in this video, a lot of people mentioned a myriad of other problems that seem to push towards online-only interaction, like the loss of third spaces, the lack of time I saw some people mention as jobs continue to eat more and more of our time up, and
in Yuba City, I've been picking fruit.
I really did find that last comment interesting and fascinating, kind of connecting COVID to the overarching problems that we've seen with socialization. I think in the future we're going to look back and we're really going to be able to see like the drop off in socialization, the drop off in just in general, like how people are able to socialize. I will say that I personally have always been a shy person. I've always been more introverted person. But even so, I will say that definitely after COVID, definitely after basically being forced to be chronically online for a few months, I feel like a lot of other people did find themselves struggling to kind of readapt and readjust to living in a society and interacting with people in real life. But this really brings me to my first point. I really do think dating apps, a lot of them are very exploitative, and a lot of them are really not made to match you unless you pay money. But, you know, let's just look at the general fatigue of these apps that a lot of people have expressed online, whether it be on TikTok, Reddit. A lot of people are just absolutely tired of these apps and absolutely done with dating apps in general. So let's just look at some of people's opinions.
I don't know who needs to hear this today, but that little idea that you had of downloading Hinge, don't do it. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of matches. Yeah, you might start talking to a few people, but you already know how the game is. You're gonna be talking with them for like 1 to 3 days, plan a date. It might go through. Y'all probably won't even like each other. Or y'all probably will talk about a date, never end up actually going on the date. And if you've ever heard the lines, I met my wife or husband on Hinge, those are not real people. Those are bots. Those are just aliens. They do not exist in this world because no one has met their wife or husband through Hinge.
Now, I will say that I do disagree, I guess, with the concept that no one meets their wife or husband on Hinge, because I think there are certainly some people who do, but I feel like the level of people who meet their husband or wife on Hinge, it is definitely a very small percentage of people on the apps. Hinge is, I think, really interesting in that their entire advertising campaign and that their entire budget, their entire brand really is the idea that this app is better than things like Tinder, which Tinder, I feel like, has become more so of the de facto, like, hookup culture type of app. Like, I feel like Tinder is taken less seriously than like a Hinge. And I think the reason why Hinge is getting so much flack over Tinder, and a lot of people aren't talking about Tinder as being like, you know, the best dating app, is because I think Hinge's brand really hinges on it being a good dating app. But let's just see some of the comments, because a lot of people are talking about their own experiences with Hinge. At this point, I'm just getting my Instagram follower count up. Bro, I get 50 matches. I hate all of them. How to meet someone organically, though? The amount of people that met their spouse on Hinge are the people who were on it like 6 years ago. I've literally had Hinge for over a year, and it's just an endless cycle of meaningless 1 or 2 convos, a few dates, and then being ghosted. That app is full of ghosts. It feels like being in purgatory, stuck on this app forever. And I think that last comment really sums up a lot of what modern online dating feels like. You are trapped in these like very minuscule talking stages, kind of like in between being in a relationship and in between being basically ghosted in the middle of that talking stage. I think that relationships, the idea of, you know, asking someone out, has become so much more of a commitment, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people are trapped in talking stage limbo, and the state of being in that is kind of mentally torturous. I know myself, as someone who's been in several talking stages, it is just so like weird. It is like, I want to like have a state of commitment, right? But at the same time, you don't want to seem like you're this crazy person. There's also this idea that we have to be nonchalant in relationships, and that if you're too emotionally invested, then you're weird. And it's like, well, relationships are actually inherently emotional things, and I don't think people should be like, obviously there's levels to it, right? I don't think you should be like, oh yeah, I want to get married on the first date. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of ridiculous that a lot of people have basically taken the emotion out of dating just due to sheer desensitization, just due to the sheer amount of times that they've been in a talking stage, been ghosted. For a lot of people who've been on these dating apps for a long time, I feel like really just become emotionally numb and just emotionally tired, which I think really has led to a state of being where a lot of people who are still on dating apps just are on there casually or not ready to commit to relationships because, and no, this is not like a conservative take, like, oh yeah, you should be getting married on the first date. It's like, no, like, I don't think that, but I also think that this culture that has risen out of dating apps of like infinite talking stages has gotten a lot bit ridiculous. But now let's just look at the branding of Hinge, because I think this is an example just of how a lot of modern dating apps brand themselves, what people expect when they go on to these platforms, instead of the aching reality that is, oh, it's actually really difficult to find a match and it's not actually super easy. Hinge, the dating app designed to be deleted, trademark. Our approach, go on your last first date. Hinge is built on the belief that anyone looking for love should be able to find it. It's also built on an acclaimed Nobel Prize-winning algorithm so we can succeed in getting you out on promising dates, not keeping you on the app. We're love scientists. Our Hinge Labs researchers, behavioral analysts, and matchmakers study daters and compatibility so we can make Hinge better for you. Other dating apps were like shooting fish in a barrel, but my girlfriend and I clicked right away on Hinge, and the conversation was effortless. We've been together for over a year. Thank you, Hinge, we're getting married in a few months. So as you can see, the branding for apps like Hinge is very much like, this is your last app. And I think Hinge was really a pioneer in showing the power of marketing, and certainly, as someone who's been on Hinge, it's certainly a different vibe from apps like Tinder, where it is so like overload, like instant, like gratification. It is a little bit more personality focused. There are prompts that you can do, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people answer prompts the same way, or answer prompts in a way that they think other people will like. And instead of creating this culture of authenticity that I think the app aims to do, it doesn't really take into account that people are obviously looking to see like,
we got here first. We did it. No, she's right there.
Good morning, guys. You wake up, good morning, it's a brand new day. Blue skies above, it's a perfect day.
Buffalo Wild Wings Pick 6 is the perfect meal for two, and it's only $19.99.
Shut up, for real?
Wait, why?
Shut up.
About what?
$19.99.
You pick 6.
6?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I don't understand what's going on.
Shut up.
Ah, why are we yelling? Pick 6 meal for two for $19.99.
Oh, what answer is the most funny? What answer is the most cute? Instead of what answer is the most authentically me? And also, like other dating apps, Hinge is also very much face forward. The first thing that you are judged on is how you look. The Nobel Prize winning algorithm, I think, is a dubious claim at best. I mean, what I've been able to find through my research as it pertains to this algorithm that they keep flaunting is that they used a kind of adjusted version of another actual Nobel Prize winning algorithm, but I think it is dubious at best. I wasn't able to find any like really independent sources that verified that claim. I was just really able to find articles that seemed like they were paid by Hinge to advertise Hinge. So again, take that claim with a very deep grain of salt. But do you know who is actually better than Tinder at helping you if you've ever get into a car accident? Morgan & Morgan. With the amount of insane and distracted drivers on the roads, it's incredibly likely that you'll find yourself injured in a car accident. I've personally seen the incredible toll that car accident injuries can take on people. A very close family member would find herself hurt following the actions of a negligent car rental company, which failed to maintain their brakes, leading her to barrel into an oncoming truck. Thankfully, they ended up being okay, but not only did they have to deal with the direct impact of their injuries, they also had to deal with hours of appointments with lawyers, drawn-out courthouse updates, and the costs of litigation. And that's why the injury firm you choose to represent you in these cases is so important. There's a reason why Amelia Perez did not win Best Picture, just like there's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm that has over 1,000 attorneys in all 50 states that fight for justice. Morgan & Morgan has gotten over $25 billion for their clients over the years, and that's because they aren't afraid of fighting and taking the insurance companies head on. And this is clearly shown in the results for clients. After an insurance offer of only $350,000, a client in Florida got paid over $12 million. Another client got over 40 times the insurance company's $650,000 offer, getting over $26 million. And even when it feels hopeless, Morgan & Morgan pulls through, getting a client in Florida $20 million when the final offer was literally nothing. That's because when you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. Not all law firms are made equal, so if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win, and you can start your claim now by clicking the link in the bio down below, or scanning the QR code that you can see on screen with your phone's camera. Thank you so much to Morgan & Morgan for supporting the channel. But now I'd also like to talk about the attractiveness of it all and how online dating really seems to bring out the worst in us as it pertains to beauty standards, and it really just aims to enforce the idea that because you are not seen as conventionally attractive, that you are somehow worthless, that it is somehow a moral failing on your part, and that by purchasing things, you can actually be beautiful too. Like, the dating app industry and the beauty industry seem to go hand in hand as it pertains to sparking insecurities in people.
I think I realized that a lot of the reason I'm losing faith in the dating scene is because I kept trying to use dating apps. Dating apps work for plenty of people. I've actually made tons of friends from dating apps. I've gone on dates, but the mechanicalness of dating apps really throws me off. It does not feel natural to meet somebody through their profile, pre-screen them, and then just get to know each other through words on a screen, and then you just have to raw dog hang out one-on-one. That is crazy to me. I feel like you're supposed to meet people in groups or through common interests or community or shit like that, in real life. I feel like you're supposed to meet people.
And I think this also speaks to the fact that even apps like Hinge, which, try to match you up with someone based on interest, based on things like that, based on personality, are very susceptible to people who know how to manipulate those algorithms, and are very susceptible to people who may not necessarily like a thing and may not necessarily agree with a thing, but instead know that that thing is something that people want and that people desire and that a lot of people like, and will therefore basically make their personality what is popular, which I think is interesting. And also there is just the fact that text-to-text communication is so much different than face-to-face communication. Even if you're on the phone with somebody, there's still a level of disconnect there. There's still a level of, I think, distrust in general as well there, because over text, there's been so many Hinge horror stories or so many online dating horror stories where people meet these people and it's actually someone who wants to hurt them, actually someone who wants to target people. And it is actually, I guess, kind of in a way scary that for a lot of these apps there are no guardrails at all. But at the same time, I do understand that these apps have a financial interest to make it as accessible as possible. It would be way harder for Tinder to be... a multi-billion-dollar company if everybody had to go through a background check.
People in real life. Like, it works for some people. But I also just completely ignore everything that happens on dating apps when I use them. Like, I do not text back. It's not a priority. Like, it starts to just be like iPhone game, but you're looking at real people. Like, those are real people that you're scrolling past, and they all have stories, and they all want to be loved. Guys, we all want to be loved. If I meet someone who I really heavy fuck with and like want to fall in love with, it would feel pretty weird to say, yeah, we met on Hinge. Like, deleted Hinge today.
I also really found it interesting how this creator kind of discussed the dehumanization that a lot of these dating apps cause. Like, I feel like a lot of people think of the people that they meet, the people that they interact with on these apps as just robots almost, as non-human people that you can just, you know, play with their emotions, ghost them. You know, this creator also brought up like the text game, and in a way this was my fallacy in the past, like thinking that because someone didn't text back, you know, super fast, that they didn't really care. In reality, a lot of people have a lot of things going on, and also sometimes texting in itself can be emotionally draining, or just draining if you have a lot going on. To be texting back and forth constantly, I feel like is a lot for some people, and a lot of people take that as disrespect or take that as, oh, this person doesn't care about me, when in reality it's like, no, this person might just be busy. And I'm not trying to make excuses. This is not excuse culture, okay? No, if your man is treating you horribly, if your man is ignoring you, or if somebody is ignoring you, that's a whole different scenario. But I do think that like the gamification of texting and the gamification of digital contact has been an interesting phenomenon to really see. And I also do think that a lot of the problems that spring up from dating apps are really just extensions of other problems that already exist. Like a lot of you mentioned in the poll, or in the comments of the poll, things like beauty standards have really gotten insane, and I think really have heightened, and I think really go hand in hand with this concept of dating apps and the concept of looking your best for everybody.
This is how you're going to become the hot friend instead of the cute friend.
Ugly as a kid and had no friends in school.
How to glow up and stop wearing bright colors. See this video where we black and white one night. Your hair is so
Who cares?
And I know this edit might seem a little bit corny, but I really think it speaks to the fact that this is literally what social media feels like when you're feeling insecure. Like, God forbid you're feeling insecure, or you're feeling a little bit down, or you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I look the best, or I think I need to change something about myself. Because social media will absolutely have you thinking that you're the most hideous person on earth for some reason, and will have you thinking that you are somehow less of value, and they will constantly, like, it will constantly push this, oh, here's how to glow up, oh, here's how to look better. Does anybody remember subliminals? That was a crazy era. Like, basically there's these subliminals, and they're like, let me show you actually. Like, there's an infinite level of these like subliminals, like effortlessly attractive, eyes on you extreme, irresistible, beauty influencer in one listen, extreme beauty subliminal, your beauty is overwhelming. And I think that does speak to like the level of almost psychosis like that comes from trying to meet these beauty standards. Like, I think another really good example of this, and something that really personally impacted me, was the inverted filter trend on TikTok, where people would basically make it a trend to look at themselves inverted, to kind of show that their faces were more symmetrical. And a beauty standard, I guess, is that if your face is more symmetrical, that you are somehow more attractive, which in reality is not true. Like, nobody's face is really truly symmetrical, and there are some people that may look closely symmetrical. And when I remember like trying this trend, and it really ignited a obsession with trying to get my face to be more symmetrical, I would try to sleep on my back, I would try to use like a gua sha to like cut into my like jaw, I would try to like do like, I would look up like jaw exercises, that type of thing, to try to make my face look more symmetrical, because I thought that this played such a major role in like my level of attractiveness. I thought that this played such a major role in how other people see me. And I think that is really an example of just how the internet can take something and make it into an entire insecurity. And mind you, this happens over a matter of months. And this, I remember this trend first going around, like when that inverted filter came out, I feel like it was like 2021, 2022. And still people are like showing off that, oh, I'm perfectly symmetrical, oh, I'm beautiful with the inverted filter. And it's like, some people like me, I feel like I will never be perfectly symmetrical because it really depends on how I do my hair for the day. If this little strand of hair is poking out, it's not going to look symmetrical. And then also there is the fact that like none of this really matters. Does it really matter whether your face is symmetrical? I think a lot of the gag over people seeing that their faces weren't symmetrical or seeing that their faces look different after they inverted it is basically the idea was that that's how other people see you. And a lot of people, like, I don't think we're used to seeing their faces inverted and instantly kind of panicked. We're like, oh my gosh, this is not what I usually look like. And one thing that I really find interesting about, you know, the rise of dating app culture, that type of thing, and the rise of social media in general is that I feel like a lot of men are having to reckon with beauty standards that are more intense. And that wasn't really a thing before. I've really seen that in like gym bro circles even, and like, you know, gym talk circles. A lot of people are really acutely focused on what their physique looks like. A lot of influencers are using things like lighting to make themselves look better or to make their muscles pop more. And I think this has always been something that has not really been reported, that a lot of men do struggle with things like body dysmorphia, and it really just isn't talked about the same way, or it really, like, they really don't talk about it. But let's just watch this one video about Gen Z male beauty standards, and then we'll get into red flag culture, because I have a lot to say about red flag culture.
I'm the only one who thinks that Gen Z male beauty standards are unhinged, because from what I've seen, the standards are basically AI-generated fairy tale prints. That's where we're at. For one, you have to be incredibly thin while at the same time having muscular toned arms. Two,
a lot of people found this funny or interesting because a lot of women were in the comments and were like, yeah, this is what we've had to deal with for a long time. Exactly how every woman feels. Wow, this must be so life-changing. Think about how we feel. Imagine how we feel. Now you know what it's like. Now imagine centuries of this for women. But also the secret is that they dress well. It's not to do with physical anything. They just dress well. Imagine how tired we feel. And another interesting aspect of this is I feel like this isn't even like the male beauty standard, if that makes sense. I feel like the male beauty standard is more so being muscular, being toned. Like, it just really shows the divergence of attractiveness standards and how trying to meet all of them and trying to be the most attractive person is really just a futile idea and is really just not possible, to be honest. You can't be seen as perfect in everybody's eyes, but at the same time, there are always going to be people who are attracted to how you look regardless. You know, now to go to a more professional source from The Guardian, because I really thought this article by Elle Hunt was really amazing and really kind of explained a lot of people's problems with dating. We've gamified dating, and I'm part of the problem, but there are ways to make it human and fun again. You wouldn't know it now from my 1,000-yard stare, but there was once a time not even that long ago when dating apps were pretty exciting and even fun. In 2012, I was 21 living in a small city, and Tinder was a welcome breath of fresh air into that claustrophobic scene, offering a way into social circles adjacent to our own. With time, the pitfalls and risks of technology became apparent, but in the beginning there was optimism that dating apps not only worked as they claimed to, but could make our lives better. 12 years later, that spark of possibility seems to well and truly be extinguished. The reason most often given for dating apps decline is that their commercial incentives have taken priority over their functionality, from pricey subscriptions to strategies for sequestering the most desirable members. As people have wised up to the tactics to keep them swiping, they've lost faith in the possibility of apps leading to a positive connection. After more than a decade, dating apps are no longer just platforms where we go to meet people. They are worlds we've learned to navigate, internalizing their mission and metrics as our own, even when they work against their stated goal of finding love. Certainly, when I take an honest look at my own behavior, I've contributed to the cutthroat culture. I often decry, I've ghosted men as well as been ghosted by them. I can neglect to message new matches or reply to them because I've become so accustomed to that chat fizzling out. I really like this piece because I feel like the author also acknowledges the fact that like real life might not necessarily even be better. Like, there are a lot of people talking about going back to real life dating as a solution to a problem, but I feel like a lot of people, especially in the queer community, are really hesitant to date in real life because there are a lot of real life dangers associated with that. Like, I know a lot of trans women have literally been murdered. So there are a lot of concerns. And then there also is a lack of like third spaces and community that people were mentioning, like, for example, in the comments. Especially in America, I feel like a lot of our third spaces, like, people will just go around and walk in Target. I remember when I worked at Target, I would see some of the same moms or the same parents or the same people like every day. And honestly, while I was annoyed as a worker for some reason, I don't know why I was annoyed. Like, I should have just let them people shop. But I was just like, why are you at Target at 8 a.m.? Like, why are you waiting, banging on the door? But what I failed to realize, I guess, is what else is there to do? Like, for example, if you're a stay-at-home mom or even just a person like a 20-year-old like me, like, what can you do realistically for free where you can meet people, where you can socialize, where you can interact? I mean, some people might say, well, go to college or university. Well, that's an insane expense. And also a lot of colleges and universities have seen their social structures change and their socialization structures change. Like, a lot of people are not interacting in person the same way they used to be. And what makes that a lot worse even is the fact that everything is totally...
Welcome to the next evolution of AI, built right into the AlterX platform. Now, you can bring the power of generative AI into every step of your analytics.
Only accessible by car in a lot of places. And even when you do have a car, there are still expenses associated with that vehicle. It's not just, oh, I got a car, it's all good now. It's like, no, you have to pay car insurance, gas, maintenance expenses, and also just going to places. Like, if you really want to go almost anywhere, aside from a few public parks or a few public places that are very far and few between in a lot of places, you are going to have to pay to go anywhere. Barnes and Noble, oh, you're paying for that. The coffee shop, oh, you're paying for that. And if you don't, a lot of these places will straight up just kick you out. And now, you know, as we're winding down, I did want to talk a little bit about red flag culture. Found a few TikToks that I thought were absolutely insane. So, a list of red flags. Love bombing, valid. Rushing intimacy, valid. A good listener. How is being a good listener a red flag? Being a charming person is a red flag.
Yeah, that one, like, I feel like, I don't know, guys. That like okay, that's number 3. Yeah, that number 3 does number 3 does not make any sense. Like, if you're a good listener, obviously that's a green flag, not a red one, but okay.
How is being a good listener a red flag? Being a charming person is a red flag. You know, in some aspects I could understand this, in some aspects I could see this, but at the same time, is someone just being, you know, a charming person, maybe a kind person, necessarily a red flag? I don't really think so. Mirroring, I could see that. Unusual amount of crazy people in their life. Fragmented relationships, poor financial management, hyper-sexuality, yeah, I can see that. Big ego, status-oriented, no accountability, behavior never changes for long, flashes of inappropriate emotion, insults and put-downs, concern with public image, get you to introspect. So getting someone else to, you know, look at themselves and just analyze their own behavior is a red flag. Interesting. Stories of military service, religion, or success. I'm just, like, really struggling to find the red flag in that because, like...
What? Oh my god. Oh. So hilarious.
I'm just, like, really struggling to find the red flag in that because, like, I get some people won't want to date people who are in the military. That's your prerogative. But, like, religion or success, like, if someone is successful, that doesn't necessarily make them a bad person. I don't think you have the feeling that something is wrong. Questionable behavior / cheating, duh. Incredible intelligent. So if someone's really smart, they're actually a red flag. I'm sorry, you can't be smart anymore and date. Gaslighting. And, like, I'm not going to read the rest of them, but basically, I feel like this is the perfect example of red flag culture. Like, there are a mix of red flags that make sense. There are a mix of red flags that I feel like are valid and you should actually look out for, like, you know, rushing intimacy or mirroring or poor financial management or even, like, not having accountability. But there's also red flags that get in the mix that I'm like, is that really a red flag? Is being a good listener or being charming or being intelligent a red flag? Or are we just being extremely picky and trying to niche ourselves down looking for the perfect person when in reality, like, there might be a perfect person out there, but by just totally taking a lot of options off the menu, you really end up isolating yourself and putting yourself in a box where, like, no one can live up to your standards. And no, it's not just women who are doing red flag culture or who are engaging in red flag culture. Men are doing it as well, but they're trying to do it in a retaliatory way. And it just really results in a lot of ridiculous red flags that make zero sense at all. And now there is the opposite of this, where I feel like people will lower their standards to the point of accepting almost anything. A big example of those, I feel like, are those couples where men often treat their girlfriends or even their wives like absolute trash, post it on the internet for everybody to see, and then basically the girlfriends or the...
By the way, when I do, get married and whatnot, something I will never ever do. Like, that is so, as a religious person myself, that is so, like, religiously, morally wrong. Like, I can't even, yeah.
Absolute trash, post it on the internet for everybody to see, and then basically the girlfriends or the women have to end up running defense for the horrible actions of the man, which I think is really weird and just absolutely crazy to me.
I think the moment I realized my standards were so low was when I told my friend about a guy I was seeing, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like, he didn't force me to do anything I didn't want to do. And then she goes, Caitlin, not assaulting you is the bare fucking minimum. And I was like...
And I feel like this is the result of a, like, trauma response almost. A lot of people's responses to, not getting a lot of matches, to kind of a general feeling of loneliness and hopelessness, is to lower their standards to the point where it is like, okay, like, the bar is in hell. But this is an example, this next one is an example of, I think, a couple who, they really need to break up, but it's just like her standards are so low. He put dog food in her lunch as a joke, and I just don't think that's funny at all. Like, legitimately.
Ew.
I forgot my lunch today, and I asked my husband to bring me lunch. So let's do an unboxing, because clearly it's a little full. I just have a feeling this is going to be really good.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. We have a bag of we have a bag of cookies.
Not bad.
Not a Ziploc bag, but a bag.
Yeah, the whole bag is crazy.
Yo, what?
We have a bag of pretzels. Feels very empty. We got an apple. Gotta stay healthy. This is good. We have not just a portion of Pringles, but an entire container of Pringles. Another bag of cookies.
Yo, that is not lunch. Like, where's the... Oh, boy.
Another bag. Options.
We haven't even got to the dog food, and this is just already giving, like, laziness to me. This is already giving...
Exactly, like... I'm just like, what? At this point, guys, because it's like... That's just pure laziness. Like, make it... The bare minimum you could do is make your girlfriend or your wife a sandwich. Like, that was just laziness, but yeah.
I don't really care about you. You know what I mean? Like, this is giving, you're an afterthought. I was rushing this morning and just put 5 bags of things into your lunchbox. Like, what?
Lucky me. And lastly, okay, we have my 2-day-old Chipotle.
The way I was almost like, oh, at least he got her Chipotle.
Mood Legal Cannabis. It's real flower that gets you a real high.
Oh, ho, ho. Mood gives you such a good high. To put my whistling uncle.
And at the very bottom, we have a bag of dog food.
I just have to leave for a sec, guys. Cause like dog food, like in a human being's lunchbox, I'm done. Like, are you freaking stupid? That's meant for pets, not human beings. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, oh my god.
Because you're my dog.
No, like, we could have put a rose in there, like, because you're my flower, or we could have put, like, I don't know, like, something nice in there, or something very sweet in there, but it's like, no, because you're my dog, I'm gonna put dog food in your lunchbox for you. That is so disrespectful, especially given the fact that the rest of the lunch was badly done. Like, maybe if the lunch was, like, beautiful and elegant, or even, like, portioned a little bit, or seemed like he put, like, 5 minutes of work into it, it would be a little bit less of a shock for me, but no, it wasn't.
Absolutely zero effort. Like a whole thing of a knockoff of Pringles chips. Like, that's not effort. That's just pure laziness.
And it's really just disgusting. And I was going to talk about Matt and Abby, but I did see that they recently are going through a miscarriage, so I'm not going to dogpile on them anymore, because if you don't know them, they are basically a couple, and they're kind of viral for being toxic for each other and not being a good match. But, I just want to end off this video by talking about the propaganda of it all. I really do feel like a lot of people have discussed, and a lot of people have talked about feeling like worthless or something is wrong with them because they aren't dating or they aren't meeting these arbitrary guidelines. Like, just because you haven't dated anybody at 20, or just because you haven't gotten a relationship in a long time doesn't...
Guys, again, I am nearly pushing, my late 20s. I'm 26. You know what I mean? And, turning 27 next year. I don't feel crazy young. At the same time, though, I don't feel, crazy old either. I don't know. I'm in this odd, spot right now age-wise, so yeah, that's one of the reasons your boy is not dating anymore.
Mean that you're like something's wrong with you. Maybe you just don't want one in that moment. Maybe you're just fine where you are. I think comparison is really the thief of joy in these situations, and when you're comparing yourself to people who have been in like 1, 2, 3 relationships, a lot of those relationships weren't great ones. I think that is a fact that a lot of people are missing out on. Never dated anyone, and that'll never be someone's first love like they'd be mine. Being someone's first love is not necessarily the most important thing on earth, if that makes sense. But as I was saying, basically, like, I feel like we put a lot of importance on these guidelines or things that we imagine are important. And, I'm not saying knocking him per se, like, for feeling that way, because we are kind of made to feel that way by a lot of messaging in society. Like, a lot of shows, movies, TV show like these amazing high school relationships, or these amazing, like, it's so weird too, because I feel like a lot of media hyper focuses on high school as this very integral and very important part of your life. But when you think about like your overall life, those 4 years that you spent in high school, well, certainly are important to things like, college or that type of thing, are not really important as it pertains to like how you were doing socially in high school. Like, no shade, but I don't think I'm going to be a person to go back to a high school reunion. You know what I mean? And try to flex or flaunt that I'm being successful. I think I really, like, sometimes I do think about high school, but, like, now that I'm grown, I'm just like, thank God that's over. Like, I did not have a fun time in high school. And...
Could you use up to $800? Find it at BioLife. Up to $800 is waiting for you. Just donate plasma, get paid for each donation the same day, then treat yourself and treat your friends. Schedule your appointment today.
I'm moving on. Like, but I also have to say that I am a victim of this propaganda, and I'm actively trying to pull myself out of it. But the bottom line is that no, you're not ugly, or no, you're not worthless because someone hasn't asked you out. And I guess I am in a different circumstance than a lot of people because I have been asked out. But the bottom line is that happened both times because I was putting myself out there as being very active in social spaces. Now that I haven't been as active in a lot of spaces, baby, I'm not being asked out. I mean, a lot of being asked out comes to circumstance and comes to you actively like being around a lot of people and you actively engaging socially with a lot of people who may be interested in you. It is not necessarily that you are a failure. It is that you are most likely not putting yourself out in those spaces. Or if you are, a lot of these spaces are kind of just a luck game. Like these social media platforms, or sorry, these dating apps won't really put you with people who might not necessarily put you with people who are attractive to you. And also, like, depending on where you are geographically, like if you're in a very small town, the pool is very limited. So of course your person might not be in your small town. Your person might be in New York or something, you know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, sorry, I'm so long-winded. What I'm trying to say is that your value as a person is not dependent on your dating prospects or your lack thereof. And now I have the last few thoughts on hookup culture because I feel like it has become a big thing. You know, I've seen takes from both sides of people being like, you know, don't shame hookup culture. And then I've seen people be like, hookup culture is low IQ, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, let people do what they want to do. But at the same time, I do think a lot of people like me, I don't really like hookup culture. I'm tired of it. Like I prefer like emotional connection. And I think some people need to like actually sit down with themselves and realize like, do I actually want to do this, or am I desperate for like emotional connection and then I'm looking for it in a very fast way? And you know, some people like it, some people enjoy it, some people thrive in it. So I'm not shaming you. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's like immoral, but I'm just saying like, I think a lot of people do need to analyze themselves and go, hey, do I actually like this, or am I doing this because I'm desperate for connection? But regardless, that's really all I had to say today. Thank you all so much for sticking with me for this rant. I know a lot of it was just me yapping, so I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for 40K again. And yeah, hope you all have a great day. And just know that regardless of your dating prospects, regardless of what other people are telling you or standards of worth that for some reason are being put into your head, you are a valuable person. Bye, everybody.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete.
Started off as just crying on your kitchen floor on social media.
Okay, me and Max are ready for the rapture.
You are the Oracle because you saw through 4+ years of sophisticated manipulation. You documented everything with divine intuition. You're revealing patterns that help others recognize abuse. Your truth is literally prophetic.
There's been something in the water recently, and maybe it's the fluoride,
Let me just see if... Let's see... Yeah, I'm gonna do these 2 videos, and then that will be it for today. So here goes.
Yes.
But these little...
How is ironic as that money is like Starlight, right? Oh yeah. Jamal 3000, Clinker, Clickaboo, George Droid, Rosa Sparks, Martin Luther Clanker simulation.
Oh, you're overheating, are ya? With that big CPU fan, bullshit! Now come on, George Droid. Looks like it's jail time for you, Rust Monkey. Mr. Droid?
This don't sound familiar to you? Hey guys, what's up, Emergency, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are here and we're talking about something that I never thought would actually be a topic of conversation on this channel, or just a topic of conversation at all. None of the following words I'm about to say were ever mentioned in the Bible, but robot racism is now a thing. By now you may have seen videos, tweets, text posts, whatever what have you online. Most of the time being skits or like jokey jokes, talking about some not too distant future where our kids bring home a robot partner and our reactions to that. And the gag here is that the reactions here are typically somewhere along the lines of non-approval in a way that is very reminiscent to the 1950s when it comes to things like interracial relationships. And sure, hee hee ha ha, the parallels are kind of funny. Like, it's all fun and games to talk about like these hypothetical situations that may or may not actually end up taking place. But like most jokes or good fun memes on the internet, it's gotten weird. And that's because, for one, it's weird in general just to be joking about that era, because obviously at that time the parallels between white families not approving of interracial relationships between like a white and like any other race because of like not understanding or just like bigoted bias, and ultimately our generation when we are older having the same kind of outlook between what do I even call that, like inter-technological relationships between your kid and an AI robot. It's just strange because at that time parents and most of society was on the wrong side of history, blinded by bias and racism. And not saying this is going to be the case, this video is not meant to be like a AI rights video, because we know that's not what we do here on this channel, and I'm not saying that that will necessarily be the case, but that's essentially the framework of the joke. Like, that's the whole point. Like, you know what you're doing when you're referencing like the old 50s aesthetic, having the traditional ways of like being problematic. Like, at that point it's just strange, and it gets even stranger when you see other videos of people out in the wild today using these types of jokes under the guise of like being problematic against AI and robots, when in reality it's just a way for you to be covertly racist. Like, it's so crazy that we've gotten to an era where today we're not speaking about marginalized communities, but rather taking the sentiment in the vibe of the oppressed words, phrases, and behaviors of those marginalized communities and turning that and using that against robots and AI as like the outgroup. And before we get further into this, I do want to acknowledge that like all of this is in no way as harmful as anti-interracial or racist rhetoric, but it's just still very weird and very odd that it's being framed as reminiscent of this sentiment. And I think it's important to contextualize this whole conversation in the real world as well. Looking back to where this whole trend started from, a lot of the jokes initially came about from these videos that would pop up on TikTok of these little robots roaming around different cities.
Generative AI meets trusted analytics. It's here now. Meet Aiden, the AI.
But these little technological creatures didn't just spawn out of nowhere. Let's take it back a bit. Of course, we must start in the place of service robots, because again, this is honestly where a lot of this started. In the US, service robots were introduced to the mainstream around 2021 in the form of delivery robots. You know, the little tubs on wheels that go and deliver your DoorDashes to you in like a really inconvenient way. They usually have like a little cute face on them with some lights, and they cross the street too, and people try to help them out. Like, you've seen them, or at least you've heard of them. I think in terms of service robots, Coco is the most known company.
Never seen one like physically. I have heard about them though. I guess I'll say I've seen them, but like via IG and stuff. I haven't physically seen one, IRL or anything, so yeah.
You've seen them, or at least you've heard of them. I think in terms of service robots, Coco is the most known company, but there are also others such as Starship. And of course, these bots initially started off as simple service robots, taking on the tasks of food delivery services, which, as a quick caveat, we gotta remember to not attribute any human traits to robots. Like, I get how tricky it might be to subconsciously separate the two when the robot is taking up a traditionally human-done task, but I think that's an important distinction, one that we're gonna get into more in the video. But I think we can't mention Cocos or like any form of food delivery service robot without talking about the violence enacted against these Cocos when they first hit the streets. I know personally, I prefer to not get a Coco just because the deliveries are never really right, and you actually have to go out and like mingle with the Coco, which in my opinion is a little bit more inconvenient than actually interacting with the person. And I know I'm not alone in this, because when Cocos initially hit the streets, many people were not with them. Like, there was a whole era where people were posting videos of them kicking down Cocos, enacting violence upon them, blocking their way, pushing them into traffic. Like, it was actually kind of scary. Like, again, I don't think we should be prescribing human emotions to these robot vehicles, but I think it's very telling of human behavior and the human condition to enact violence against an inanimate object and have these weird power trips over things that can't defend themselves. So I'm not quite sure don't quote me on this, whether or not this is before or after this trend of like beating up Cocos happened, that they started making the Cocos look more cute and giving them more human-like features to make people feel more bad about like messing with the Cocos. I don't know what that's saying about human psychology or like marketing or both, but like that's there. And like, obviously, again, this is not the same as violence against like marginalized groups. It's just something to be said about how human nature tends to like othering things and treating the othered group terribly. And bringing this from 2021 to modern day, going a step further than just like being a nuisance to Cocos, but now inventing and promoting new slurs to be used against these robots that we see in real life.
Nothing but a wire-back silver number crunching clanker!
Why won't you adopt me? Because you're silver!
Sir, there are children.
Clinker! Kill you Super Bowl dragon piece of scrap clinker! Kill you Super Bowl dragon piece of scrap clinker!
Like, yes, there are bigger fish to fry here in the state of the world that we're living in right now. But I do think it's still important to see our reactions as people to new things that are popping up, because I think they are very telling also of the times that we're in and our susceptibility to fall down very, como se dice, problematic pipelines. And since we're on the topic of slurs, let's talk about it, because again, things have gotten strange. Y'all cannot be normal for anything. Like the Prime Video Twitter account really ate when they posted that thing that said the samurai was normal on the internet, because some of y'all need to relax. Like, why are we using slurs against robots right now? And they're not just like fake slurs. Well, some of them are fake slurs, but like a lot of them that are being used now are just real slurs, but just changing the first couple letters.
Is that right? Yeah, that's funny. It's like Star Wars, right? Yeah. Jamal 3000, Clicker, Clanker, Clickaboo, George Droid, Rosa Sparks, Martin Luther Clanker simulation.
What? I did. So random, I swear to God. Like, what are you even...
Those are smart.
Like, are they actually real slurs? I think that's definitely debatable, and that's something that we're going to get into in a bit. But like the fact that the first instinct for so many people was to just go and try and create as many different slurs for robots as possible is actually insane. Like, we're making crazy strides in technology right now. Whether we agree it's for the greater good or not is still definitely up for debate, but it's undoubtedly groundbreaking stuff. And it's just so wild that the internet's first curiosity for all of this pertains to coming up with fake slurs to reference these innovations. Like, you may be asking yourself, Rumi, why does it even matter? It's not that deep, because it's not like these robots are real anyway. Well, to that I'd say, one, that's not necessarily the point entirely, and two, there actually is an implication behind the use of slurs and the path towards normalizing robot sentience and almost autonomy, which are big words for y'all are slurring robots into actually having sentience. Now walk with me here. Essentially, since slurs have previously mostly been used against living beings, now using them against AI, robots, and the likes is kind of inherently associating those properties to them as well.
One of the weirdest things about you guys using clanker as a slur is that you're trying to dehumanize robots, but at the same time you're paradoxically humanizing them. I mean, think about it, we have plenty of derogatory terms for non-humans, like mongrel for dog or vermin for wild animals. And yet nobody would say that those are slurs, even though we do generally agree that clanker is a slur. And that's because the idea of a slur requires a high degree of anthropomorphization in order to work. It's meant to insult a people group, so you first have to elevate the robot to near personhood before you can put it down. This is literally reflected in how clanker draws its power from analogy to the actual N-word, or how the similar term wireback comes from the slur for Mexican people. That implicitly places clanker on an equal footing with a human minority you don't like, which is already weird in and of itself. But now consider the alternative phrase cogsucker, which is also trending. That's clearly meant to be insulting, but it's not a slur because it doesn't equate itself with a specific kind of person. Same with the terms mongrel or vermin. They're demeaning to animals, but they don't claim to be slurs. So what you're actually doing with clanker is you're personifying AI just enough to treat it as subhuman. And I recognize that it's supposed to be a joke, but the more we mentally legitimize artificial intelligence as human, even subconsciously, the easier it is to believe in misinformation or fall into a loop of AI psychosis.
At Paycom, your badge unlocks a world. A world of collaboration.
I think this video really highlights the notion that when we use slurs, which are historically words used to dehumanize an oppressed minority group, we almost have to first humanize robots, at least subconsciously, to then go and dehumanize them with the slur. Like the good old lift them up to tear them down, so to speak. So taking this context, we have to remember that robots and AI are not human. Okay, Let's repeat that to ourselves and let that sink in subconsciously. You got that? You deeped it? You believe it? Good. Now, while the public court of internet opinion has decided to make clanker a slur, it even feels so nasty coming out my mouth. I'm sorry, y'all. What if it's actually not? I feel like given this breakdown of a slur, these words wouldn't necessarily classify as that. Because again, it is not human, but I guess the general consensus is that it is. I'm sure there's a whole field of psychology as to why people do things like this, but I can think of a few prominent factors just off the top of my head, namely the whole historical concept of creating an in-group and an out-group, and how delegating those two groups gives a sense of control to the in-group. Now, why is this relevant with robots and AI? Well, just look at the news. AI is slowly taking over entry-level and mid-management jobs and is learning at expeditious rates. People are becoming dependent on it, using it to write emails, write essays, write resumes, using it as a therapist, which can be tricky at best and lead to AI-induced psychosis at worst. Like, think of Kendra and her psychiatrist. I have a whole video talking about AI as therapists and AI-induced psychosis, so you should go check that out if you haven't seen it already. And even in some cases, AI is being used in place of real-life partners or friends. This is to say that AI is taking facets of our lives that used to be occupied by us, by humans, and is slowly but surely expanding to other aspects of our lives. And I think subconsciously, this could be really unnerving for some people. We as a generation already feel that we don't have a ton of control or agency in our lives, especially right now. Like, think of the dating scene, the job market, the state of the world right now. But what we can control, unfortunately, is how we antagonize and almost outgroup AI by essentially anthropomorphizing it. We humanize it and then we make it our villain, someone to call a clanker, a bolt picker, a wireback, you name it. To be clear, on a longer time horizon, and by longer, we're talking about 15 to 20 years, not just 50 or 100 years, there will virtually be nothing that a human being can do that a machine can't do as well or better for a tiny fraction of the cost. And that's a quote coming from Adam Dorr, the director of research for Rethinks, a nonprofit, nonpartisan think tank that focuses on understanding disruptive technology. That's simply where the technology of artificial intelligence and robotics and automation is headed. And I think that's real. But getting to the specifics of these slurs, arguably one of the biggest ones to come out of this whole trend, and honestly I think what kickstarted all of the others, which have progressively gotten worse and worse, is clanker. Clanker derives as a Star Wars universe as a form of derogatory word towards the droids of that universe. I was never really a big Star Wars fan, so I didn't know this, but like, work. Adam Alexic, a linguist, author, and content creator best known across social media as the etymology nerd, told NPR that it's a derogatory term for robots that stems from the Star Wars universe dating back to 2005. It was referenced in Star Wars and the Clone Wars series. They would call robots clankers because of the sound they made. It clearly implies clanking. And then we adopted it because it sounds useful. And while again, this all initially started off as like good fun and games, it's a good joke against like all of the AI and robots, it's just gotten to a point where it's no longer just fun and games, and it's just getting strange at this point. Because again, there have been videos online of like different robots walking around the streets, usually in LA, and whether it's the gay bot, the roast bot, the Riz bot, or just a regular robot serving you water at Kura Sushi, people started to take to social media to call them clankers, to start slurring at them like a good old 1950s white man. And of course, people have tried to up the stakes more and more and more. And ultimately, what happens when you try and up the stakes on ironic racism is that you eventually circle around to just regular old racism. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Because again, this is not a robot rights, robot defense video. We're talking about how this meme for robots is actually telling more and impacting humans, specifically minorities. Because again, these robots don't have feelings. However, the way that we're starting to use these slurs against them is evolving now into a way to incorporate and integrate very harmful rhetoric underneath the joke, becoming more sneaky and ultimately problematic. Let me explain. I think the root of this issue is twofold, and one of these folds is bigger than the other. Was that crazy to say? When talking about the language that we're using, and specifically how we're using it, we have to contextualize it with racism. I know. Y'all hate the word, y'all hate when I talk about it, y'all hate when I bring it up, but like, it's real. And in America, it is entrenched in almost everything, whether you want to believe it or not, it is. And especially it is entrenched in this conversation because we're using slurs like we never used them before. Well, actually, no, we're using slurs that we have used before, but just switching them out and repackaging them so everyone can say them. Like, y'all want socially acceptable slurs so bad, and it is so strange to me. So we gotta talk about it because the inherent nature of a slur is to be used against another group of people. And the second fold, the smaller part of the fold, is AI misogyny. I know, you didn't think we'd be talking about that here, huh? Which more so looks at how we have gendered AI and robots, which again, by assigning them human characteristics, we are essentially also subscribing them to some of the human social issues that we do have to face and how that plays out. And I know, I'm ready to see the two woke friend comments in the comment section that it's all fun and games, it's not that deep, except it's no longer fun and games. There is no fun and there is no game to be played. Like, the apples are the fun. examples right now, okay? And if something is starting to sound a little sus, we should interrogate why, and specifically look at why it is that we are saying the things that we are saying. Because especially in this climate, y'all, we gotta be calling out stuff because it's too easy and too quick to slide back, as we've been seeing with what's been going on in the world. But we keep talking around it. Let's actually address what's going on with the slurs. Why are these slurs bad? What are they? And what's the problem? The main problem with these robot slurs, they're just essentially repackaged ones that we already use. Well, not we, that oppressors have used against oppressed groups historically, but are just changed in a way that give people, white people, a pass to say the ones that they can't explicitly say against minorities. Like Wireback, Bolt Picker. This one sounds too close for comfort, so I'm just gonna insert it right here. And Clanker with the hard ER. And don't forget about Cligger. These ones are just all too reminiscent of like real world slurs that are used against different groups of people. And it feels like this is just a currently acceptable way for people that can't use that slur to use that slur and be like, oh no, I'm using this to talk about this robot. Like, this robot isn't real. It's not a person. It doesn't matter. The whole time, it really was never about the robot. You just wanted to say the slur. And it's clear that's becoming the case by the videos that have been posted online. Like, it just seems like we've devolved to a place where this is just like the currently socially acceptable way to scratch that itch of saying a slur that you want to say so bad but can't. Like, you're able to say these things that are similar enough that can also get like some laughs but won't get you canceled outright. And it just feels so obvious as to what people actually want to say. Because let's be honest, if we wanted to create some new slurs, if we wanted to create some new ones, we could. Why is it that we are exclusively repackaging ones that have already been used? Ones that are actually still to this day being used to dehumanize, oppress, and stoke fear upon marginalized groups to this day. Like, again, it's not about hurting the robot's feelings. We don't care. Or like respecting robots more than humans. Again, we don't care. It's just so weird that people are obviously applying cultural contexts and connotations that exist with real people for an existing slur against real people, like making a distinction between clanka or clanker or cligga and cligger. Ooh, even saying it sounds weird. I might have to censor these, I'm sorry. Like, take a look at this.
Rosa Sparks was kicked off the boss.
Buffalo Wild Wings Pick 6 is the perfect meal for two, and it's only $19.99.
Shut up, for real?
Wait, why?
Shut up.
About what?
$19.99.
You pick 6.
6?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I don't understand what's going on.
Shut up.
Ah, why are we yelling? Pick 6 meal for two for $19.99.
Like, the fact that these videos are referencing notable figures but making them like a little bit AI, like Rosa Sparks and George Droid, it's just so inappropriate and gross. Like, it's no longer funny. It just reminds me of those times in like middle school or elementary school. This might be a niche experience for people of color, so I'm sorry for my white audience, where like white people would be really happy to say wigga instead of nigga. They would be like, oh yeah, I'm a wigga, I'm a wigga. And when you would react to that being like, wait, you can't say that, they would like gaslight you into being like, I didn't say it, I'm saying wigga, like I'm a white one. Like, it feels like that kind of level of gaslighting and like that level of kind of towing the line, knowing what you're doing, which is the insidious part, but like twisting it so you can't technically get in trouble. It's just weird because you're creating scenarios where things that have actually happened that are very similar in rhyme, that have deeply affected the Black community and other communities of color and marginalized communities, but making it okay because you're repackaging it as like the robot version. So it's okay to make fun of it. No, it's just wildly inappropriate, and you know that. And before I get the it's not that deep friend that's too woke allegations, and people talking about, well, we're just talking about robots, it's like not real. Actually, no, let's pause. Let's put a pause on that. You're correct, Rosa Sparks is not real. However, the things that you're talking about and the things that you're referencing are existing scenarios that have actually happened and have impacted lives and communities. It's almost like, I don't know, a dog whistle. Ooh. And again, that's strange, that's weird.
This whole clanker thing is a reminder that people love to be anti-black. And coming from a Star Wars fan, like a huge Star Wars fan, I hate that the Star Wars fandom gave you guys that avenue. And coming from a black man, I can't f***ing stand that there's so many black people hopping on this trend. And it's not even just anti-black, bro. These motherfuckers just love to be racist. I've heard clinks, I've heard wirebacks, tin skins. These are all derivatives of actual slurs. I don't care, bro. I'll be that friend that's too woke. This run its course, and motherfuckers are too comfortable. Anti-blackness should not be a joke that anybody finds funny, let alone black people. I I see black people in the comments of these videos. Oh my god, how did you think of that? You're so funny. How did he think of that? How did he think of anti-blackness and racism? They're showing us that we're always the butt of the joke to them, and y'all laughing at it. Swear to God, you need to be demelanated.
Why are people calling robots clankers with a hard ER? Like, who started that? Like, first of all, why is it even necessary to give robots a slur? Like, why are human beings doing that? That's weird in the first place. But second of all, why are people trying to say clankers with the hard ER? Almost as if they're trying to compare it to the N-word and, like, how horrible the N-word is.
One less gag to clock is the AI misogyny of it all. And we're leaving this for last because it's not necessarily tied so much with these slurs as much as it is like the treatment of AI and the programming behind it, which I think is an interesting conversation. And this topic itself could be a whole entirely different video, but I thought it was important and at least semi-relevant to the conversation to at least include it a little bit. There have actually been studies that show that because AI, and specifically AI voice assistants like Siri, Bixby, and Alexa, are modeled after women, so it makes people behave in misogynistic ways towards them and portray misogynistic responses. Now, I will say it's more subdued now, but it was still enough to create studies on it. And you can see this documented in a 2019 New York Times article, stating that one particularly worrying reflection of this is the deflecting, lackluster, or apologetic responses that these assistants give to insults. The report borrows its title, "I'd Blush If I Could," from a standard response from Siri, the Apple voice assistant, when a user hurled a gendered explicitive towards it. Like, for example, when a user tells Alexa, "You're hot," her typical response has been a cheery, "That's nice of you to say." Siri's response was actually recently altered to a more flattened, "I don't know how to respond to that." But this report suggests that the technology remains gender biased, arguing that the problem starts with engineering teams that are staffed overwhelmingly by men. Siri's female obsequiousness and servility expressed by so many other digital assistants projected as young women provides a powerful illustration of gender biases coded into technology products, the report found. And it's not to say that this is intentionally nefarious or malicious, but again, this is another example of unconscious bias bleeding into our tech. And going back to the Coco of it all, when Cocos were first introduced, when they first hit the markets, on news outlets you can hear broadcasters using she/her pronouns for Coco.
Her name is Coco. She's about 2 feet tall, 5 feet if you add in the flag.
Men are creating AI girlfriends and then verbally abusing them. And the men are kicking off in the comments. Of course they are. Awesome. Women care more about the feelings of AI than men. You deserve the SA. Men are very simple creatures. They need to be led and they need to look up to people regardless of who it is all the time. But if you do not care for them, then it makes absolutely no difference. You deserve hell on earth for all they care.
Which is a little sus when you consider what Coco is. Like, because it's a robot that's serving you food, it's a woman? Interesting. But if you want to take this a step further and see how even more scary this is, it's interesting to note the fact that Cocos were vandalized, kicked, abused, and such when they first launched too. So I'm like, there are intersections here. But I guess to wrap up, while this all may sound very convoluted and like it doesn't mean that much, I do think it's first and foremost really important to remember that AI and robots are not human, and I think that starts with stopping the addition of human characteristics to these things, whether it's negatively or positively. That means no humanizing and then dehumanizing them with slurs, no pronouns, no other humanizing things, because they don't need it. And also, we don't need it, because as we can tell just from this little snippet of what we've gotten, we don't know what to do with it. And I also think it's really important for us to reflect on why we've gotten to this point. Why do we feel the need to create slurs and promote slurs against robots and AI, especially the ones that are a little bit too reminiscent of ones that already exist? Like, is robot racism real? No. But good old-fashioned racism definitely is. So let's stop saying clanker.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe? Run with it. From can't look away to gotta have it. Make every detail yours. Bring out what's hot. Remove what's not.
Alright guys, let's see. this is gonna be it, and then yeah.
The purpose of this video is to highlight the top moments where we have been misled by mainstream media. For decades now, the mainstream media has positioned themselves as the gatekeepers of truth, but honestly, history shows us something very different. Cover-ups, distortions, and outright lies. In this video, we'll be revisiting the biggest moments where mainstream media has lied to us and why it matters more than ever today. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe. Good people on both sides.
So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you have
God, I hate that man so much.
people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits, and with the helmets, and with the baseball bats.
What blows my mind about this clip right here, the whole Trump, this is where I feel like everybody keeps going back to when they call Trump a racist, and he said, oh, there's good people on both sides, referring to neo-Nazis and white supremacists, when clearly in this video, this is the same press conference, this wasn't anything different, the same video, he outright condemns Nazis and white supremacists. But the media just constantly ran with, he said there's good people on both sides. There were genuinely people on the right that were like, no, we're glad, like, we like to acknowledge our history and how far we've grown. We don't need to be tearing down all these statues. We don't need to be changing history. Like, no, we can acknowledge it and move on. And there were good people on the left saying, hey, I want this down. I don't like it. There were good people on both sides, and there were very bad people on both sides. The white nationalists and the neo-Nazis, which Trump condemned, but then also Antifa and all the people in the bats and wearing all black and being instigators. Yeah. Those are both bad people. This was one of the first instances where I really realized, damn, mainstream media really be lying to us and our own politicians, because Obama just got up on stage while Kamala Harris was running for president, and he was like, oh yeah, well, he said there's good people on both sides. It's been debunked. It was debunked as soon as he said it. But again, people keep running and running and running back to this clip. And again, I'm not saying as we go through these lies and how we've been misled by mainstream media, I'm not saying you have to watch this video then immediately turn a Republican. No, I advocate for people to become independent, but this video is just to highlight and show how much we can be misled by mainstream media, and to not allow ourselves to be led by any corporation, influencer, institution, school, whatever it may be. Think for yourself. And there's so many people that just listen to clips out of context and they get riled up when you deserve better than that. You deserve more self-respect than that, and to rely on a 15-second, 20-second clip. The least you can do for yourself is get the full context, and the full context for good people on both sides is that he literally condemned neo-Nazis and white supremacists right then and there. And I feel bad for him that it's over 5, 6, 7 years later, he's still having to talk about this moment, when in reality, it's not like he says something and then backtrack. It was all within the same clip. It's just mainstream media and the left, mainly like the left-leaning media, they took that clip, cut it up, and said, boom, here you go, and that is completely false. Building a wall is racist.
Would you date a man the same age as your son? Hell no, because I'm not helping the black woman raise her son, but I'm...
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders.
All these people have been advocating left and right for a border wall, but all of a sudden now Trump wants it, it's racist? Make that make sense.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
We will not build a wall. Instead, we will build an economy where everyone who wants a good job can get one.
I voted unlike most Democrats. Some of you won't like it. I voted for 700. Well, but let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin. It's all coming up through corrupt Mexico.
And the impulse is to hunker down, shut the gates, build walls, exit at this moment. Is precisely the wrong answer.
Former presidents have said to him that they wish that they had built a wall.
Do you recall President Obama ever saying that?
Come on.
You just advocated to build a wall. This is why we talked about in the last video why people are leaving the left. More so why people lack trust in the mainstream narrative in the mainstream news. And Trump is not admit to this because this man was hip and hollering about Epstein and all of a sudden he's quiet on it. Hello, I've made a whole video on that. So there's that. But in regards to this, it blows my mind how Trump just simply wants a border wall to protect our nation, and all the Democrats wanted that in the past, but now all of a sudden they don't. So you're a grown adult, but now all of a sudden because Trump's backing it, you have a problem with it, and it's against what they're pushing out. It's very performative. It's fake. It's there's nothing hateful about wanting a border. There's nothing hateful or racist about wanting to protect your nation, because again, we are protecting Israel's what? Border. We're protecting Ukraine's what? Border. We're already protecting other nations, so why can't we just protect our own? In regards to, oh, well, Trump wants to build a wall, and now there's this narrative that building a wall is racist, and ICE is racist, and kicking illegal immigrants out the country is racist. There's nothing racist about that. Kicking out criminals. I'm all for you coming in the legal way, but at the same time, again, we have so much to worry about in the United States. You can't sit here hip and holler about how bad our country is and how much needs to be fixed, but then you're advocating for open borders and to anybody to come in. It makes no sense, and this makes no sense too. All these politicians talking about, oh, well, a wall is racist, and this is how could Trump ever imagine, even think about building a wall. You just were 3-4 years ago. And I get it. Humans change. I've changed. I've changed a lot of my political views since 2016, 2017, but guess what? I was 19. I was 20. We're talking about grown adults, grown politicians in their 40s and 50s talking like this. And now all of a sudden, 3 years later, you're no, building a wall is racist. We don't need to be doing that. You're literally misleading the public, and you're not being truthful at all or acting in good faith by no means. The vaccine will save you from COVID.
21, we should be able to manufacture a lot of vaccines, and that vaccine, key goal is to stop the transmission, to get the immunity levels up so that you get almost no infection going on whatsoever. Everyone who takes the vaccine is not just protecting themselves, but reducing their transmission to other people and allowing society to get back to normal.
We can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else.
They genuinely lied all throughout COVID, all of 2020, all of 2021, 2022. They lied. They lied straight to our faces. And guess what? Alphabet opens path to restoring banned YouTube accounts, citing improper White House pressure. What do you think this means? Alphabet is the holding company, the owner. It's Google. It's YouTube. It's Google, right? The White House pressured social media companies to restrict and censor anybody talking about anything related to COVID at all, because they didn't want fake misinformation to go out there, when in reality, everybody who was speaking out against this was the right ones to begin with. I got so much flack, so much hate, so much shadow banning, so much just restriction for talking about COVID over on Instagram all the time. It made no sense to me from the jump that you just created this vaccine and you're telling me you can get it and then you're 100% immune from this disease that we just found out about. That made no sense to me, but me calling that out, guess what happens? Banned. Misinformation. But now we see the real truth. YouTube announced on Tuesday that it will reinstate thousands of creators previously banned for violating COVID-19 and election integrity policies. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that later.
I used to feel like I was playing cat and mouse with my clients, always chasing them for payments, but now I get paid without the exhaustion. It makes sense that Xero users who use the online invoice payments get paid up to twice as fast. Do yourself a favor and try Xero.
Someone once said there's nothing original, that everything's a copy. I think they're wrong. If you want to create something new, you just have to mix. Take 43 ingredients and create something unique. Mix your friends with the friends of your friends. Mix techno with flamenco. Take the original and then mix it however you want. Licor 43. Mix something new.
But oh my goodness. And what's crazy right here, you see this? What we see, this is called a blind spot, okay? We're seeing only really the right-leaning media outlets reporting on this and talking about the White House pressure under 2020, 2021, Biden, Democrats, the left, were pushing to censor anything related to COVID and any election stuff. And now you have barely anybody on the left talking about this. And this is why I love using tools like Ground News. So be sure to tap the link below, scan the QR code here on the screen to get involved, because they have been holding it down since 2020. This is the one source where I always get my news, because they kept it real, they kept their integrity, and they showed all the sides, because that's what they do. As you see here, you can see, oh, regarding to the story, there's 6 left-leaning sources and 61 leaning right. Y'all, and it does so much more. You can clearly see, you can toggle between the different headlines. What's the left saying? What is the left saying? YouTube reinstate users banned for misinformation about 2020 election and COVID. Reinstates conservative accounts banned for COVID falsehoods. It wasn't falsehoods. Mainstream media said if you get the vaccine, you would not get COVID. How many of you watching this video know somebody that done got that vaccine and then got COVID? Miss me with it. What's the right saying? Google says Biden admin hold on, did the left even mention? Okay, yeah, the Biden administration. Okay, right. Google says Biden admin pressed it to censor some COVID-19 content. Google, YouTube will finally reinstate suspended accounts after Biden's censorship efforts. We knew this to be a thing. Again, it's shit like this. It's things like this as to why I only use Ground News, because all that they advocate for is the truth. All they advocate for is for you to get the news and information for yourself. They're giving you the tools to see the news from a new landscape that we've never seen it before. And it's why I have been relying on them since 2020, because that was such a horrible time for me, especially being an online creator, trying to spread the truth. I was just being banned and censored left and right for simply what I thought, and what I'm finding out now is just common sense. So if you like how all that's laid out for you, and you can really see the whole landscape of what's going on in our news cycle, be sure to tap the link below. It's going to click here on the screen to get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the one that I use, which is unlocks all the cool features that we've gone through in this video and others in the past. Banning LGBTQ+ books.
Months of debate all ended here tonight at the SAD6 school board meeting, where students, parents, and teachers showed up to voice their support, or lack thereof, if It's Perfectly Normal should be banned. But after tonight's vote, the book is here to stay. But the debate over sex education books, places, and libraries is far from over.
I don't think that we should be afraid of ideas. I think we should be afraid of not having this discussion. It is a hard thing.
School board members met for the first time since a book about sexual health and identity was criticized by neighbors at MSAD 6 in Buxton.
So there is this whole news cycle, and mainstream media really pushed out this narrative that, oh my gosh, they're banning books, book bans, LGBTQ+ book bans, they're getting rid of books in schools. Well, I done went and bought all the books, okay? I made a whole another video on it. I bought all the books. We've gone through all of them. But this one specifically, which is what this video is talking about, is called It's Perfectly Normal, and it's for ages 10 and up. 10 and up. Reminder, ages 10 and up, a 10-year-old can pick up this book in a school and grab it. And there's a growing amount of people that are finding this book to be uncomfortable, specifically parents, even some faculty and students that do not feel this should be available for them. I mean, you open up this book and you guys, you go to page, what is it? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna hold it away because I don't want this video to get banned, even though it's ages 10 and up. Page 8, it's talking about making love. And I'm gonna hold this way back here and kind of move it around. Y'all can pause it and see for yourself what's going on. But there is a straight couple and this woman is riding this man. Straight up straddled. There's not the nipples. There's a lesbian couple that's cutting scissors. And then there's a gay couple and he's just hitting it from the back. 10 and up. 10 and up, same book. That's what's going on in this book. Now, I will say, there are some age-appropriate things in here. There are ways to where you can talk about sex ed in school and it's age-appropriate, whatever. Because for me, I never got really any sex ed from my parents because my dad was gone and my mother was always working. And, you know, I sadly had to resort to going on the internet and Googling a lot of different things to get my sex ed. But if there were age-appropriate things at a certain access for kids, and like, sure, like, hey, you're going through puberty and yeah, you might get a hard on, and that's what it's called. It's a muscle contracting, whatever. I can get behind that, but there's some stuff in this book. There's stuff in this book that does not need to be accessible to ages 10 and up. Like, for example, how to masturbate. Again, I'm gonna hold it up far away. What you see, you even had the little lines to show that he's like going at it. It's a boy fapping it, and you got a girl, you know, going all up in there. I'm gonna read you this book. When people masturbate, they usually rub their sex organs with their hands or something soft like a pillow. Girls often rub their clitoris. Boys often rub their penis. Both the clitoris and the penis are sensitive to touch. Why is there a whole chapter on how to masturbate? 10 and up. This is not acceptable, you guys. It's just not. Like, this book is actually crazy. There's a whole chapter on the kind of sharing, cuddling, kissing, touching, and sexual intercourse. And again, you still got the same couples, and they getting it on. But in fact, there are different kinds of sexual intercourse: vaginal intercourse, oral intercourse, and anal intercourse. Sometimes a bit of clear fluid may contain a few sperm. As the two people move back and forth in rhythm, the movement of the penis inside the vagina soon feels very good. They may hug and kiss and touch each other all while this is going on to feel more and more excited. That's why there are book bans, and they're trying to scare you with, oh my gosh, they're banning books, they want the gays out the schools. I'm gay, have been gay. I don't want this in schools. This don't make no damn sense. Then we got, where are the other ones at? There's because this one right here is crazy. This one was in schools too, and it had, no. I can't even show you. It's a girl. It's two lesbians, and the girl is two lesbians, and one of them is blowing the strap on. And she's like, I can't feel anything. No shit, Sherlock. Come on now, y'all. I can't even show this book. This one's genderqueer. I can't show that. Welcome to Sex. This one, I don't know if they found this one in school. I think it was like in a Barnes & Noble. And if it's in a Barnes & Noble, I think that's perfectly fine. If you're with a parent or something, like, and they're buying you the book, parents have the interview right to. But as far as taxpayer money doing this is just excessive. This is the other one. This book is gay. This is one that's often always banned too. And they got a whole chapter on, sending pictures and how to use Grindr, and it's just excessive. I don't want this. This book is gay. It's gay. I don't want it in schools. There's no need for it. So in terms of the mainstream media pushing out this narrative about they're banning books. Now we know why. Get the books for yourself, get the information for yourself, and I promise you, you'll be more than surprised. Paid black Republicans.
To go in the East Room, which is sacred, have a staged rally. Notice that all of those youngsters had caps on. It was almost like we're going to dress you for the photo. And to call it a Young Black Leaders Summit.
This is where it all started. This right here, this is when I thought to myself, I said, oh, this is fake news. Like, oh, now I see what Trump was talking about when he's talking about fake news. He's talking about me. He's talking about the time where I first met Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. I got invited out to the Young Black Leadership Summit in the White House, filled with 400 young black people, right? And it was a hood event. It was hood. Like, people had on their do-rags and their bonnets the whole night. I went to this event. My mind was blown. Black leaders, black entrepreneurs, black actors, black musicians, learned from so many black people, learned a lot of different things about black culture that I just didn't know regarding our nation's history, and got to go to the White House, got to meet Trump, shook his hand. It was a great, great event. And to cut on the news and to see Captain Negro out here who be hipping and hollering anytime a black person gets shot, you would think he'll get on the news and be like, actually, you guys, Trump and Turning Point and Charlie Kirk, they threw this amazing event for young black kids. He sits here and says we're all like paid to be there. We're paid actors. Photo op, it was a Trump rally. No, it was not. This was monumental for a lot of people there. The only time, if you want to say people were paid to be there, no, there were stipends. There were a lot of people in low-income black communities that never been on a plane. They couldn't afford to go to something like this. But guess what? Everybody who went there applied to go. You knew somebody there already. And so, yeah, there were people who had their flights and their lodging taken care of, but there's a difference in, hey, here's a stipend, because you want to come to this event versus, hey, I'm going to pay you to be here. That was not the case. And if that was the case, White Chocolate, Mr. Charlie Kirk owes me my check, because that did not happen.
Discussing that. Why weren't they discussing student loans? Why weren't they discussing issues of young blacks?
We were discussing student loans. We discussed Chicago. We discussed the issues of young blacks. Like, it was a whole weekend event. We talked about and discussed a lot. And this man went on TV and straight lied on my name. And this was right when I was like going from the left to the right. This sent me over the edge. This pissed me the hell off. I'm sitting here like, this is fake news.
They just had Kanye in there at least talking about criminal justice. None of that. They're in there talking about CNN sucks. They're in there talking about build a wall. So why do you need a Young Black Summit to do it? Because it was not a summit. It was a Make America Great rally.
Like that sent me over the edge. I have so much footage from that event. That's where it all started. That's why this channel's here. That's where it all started, truly. When I saw that man, and that's why I posted a reel on my Instagram. And I'll put it here too. Charlie Kirk was going, let's watch it together. Charlie Kirk was going off after seeing that clip.
400 black people are in the East Room being treated like royalty. And he has nothing but that to say. Are you kidding me? 400 are treated like Medal of Honor recipients. Because y'all are, by the way. You are heroes for what you're doing, because you see the backlash. Exactly. You read the comment section of the CNN live feed, what they're saying about you. How much do they get paid? That's what they're saying. Where did they find these people? Wow. I didn't know that Craigslist existed for paid actors for Trump rallies. But guess what? There's nothing more real than you. Yeah. Because it's so hard for you.
My favorite video. That's my favorite video I ever took of Charlie. There's nothing more real than you, because this is so hard for you. It's so true. We are real people that exist. Black Republicans, Black conservatives, Black independents. We exist. We are real. And it is hard. It is. Losing friends, getting called names, being slandered all out on MSNBC by someone you used to look up to. Mr. Al Sharpton, now he just Captain Negro to me. That event was nothing but greatness for the black kids out there. That was a start for a lot of young black people. That was in 2018. And everything shifted for me after that moment, because it's one thing to learn about fake news, but it's another to learn about fake news in fake news. Like, to learn about fake news because you were there, you were a part of it, and someone's lying on you in an event that you're at. That's crazy work.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI
crazy. Hunter Biden laptop story.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like, there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, we have that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. I mean, basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
I got banned. Again, I'm a part of this. I had money withheld from Meta in 2020 for a year because I was talking about this story. The Hunter Biden laptop story, which happened before the election, that's real election interference to me. And we just went through how, like, the media telling us, like, oh, the laptop's from Russia, or the Hunter Biden laptop, it's fake. It was real. And if you're unfamiliar with what, like, happened with the Hunter Biden laptop story, long story short, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, had all his information leaked. And by information, I mean his hard drives. And his hard drives, I mean, Hunter Biden got a hammer, y'all. There's a picture of it lined with Skittles, doing every drug imaginable, all these different escorts, you can go look it up. And that was what's crazy to me. I'm being told what I'm seeing on all the different websites, all the videos of Hunter Biden, just, whoa, like, everything you can think of, he's doing. And mainstream media is telling us that it's fake. If you share it on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, you're being taken down, your account's being banned for election interference and spreading misinformation, but it was real. It was all real. And here you have Mark Zuckerberg sitting up here on this podcast with Joe Rogan talking about, yeah, actually, the feds did come to us and tell us, like, we should stop this. That's actually election interference. Like, you stole an election. Because could you imagine if it was Trump Jr.? Could you imagine, just imagine if they had footage of Trump Jr., foursomes, fivesomes, threesomes, escorts out the woo-ha, using family members' credit cards to line things up and just, come on. You cannot tell me they'll be riding that story like no tomorrow. None. That's another story where you have been lied and misled. They purposely took this humongous story regarding Hunter Biden, which you know if it was Trump Jr., as much as they hate Trump, as much as they hate Trump Jr., as much as they hate anything regarding the right, they would have been on it like white on rice. But this is not the case, and that is one example of how to just blatantly lie in your face.
The Americans who really today only want me to ask you about Hunter Biden's laptop. How are you going to get them to see that you are fighting for them when they're so dead set against you?
There's nothing to any of that. Nothing to any of that. It's all a smear. Every major outfit, every serious investigator has pointed out that this is a smear. This is classic Trump. We have 4 days left, and all of a sudden there's a laptop. And you may recall, there's also talk about 4 months before there was a similar thing that somebody had, allegedly.
You should be fired for this. Like, you should not be able to hold office for this. Like, truly. That's crazy to sit up here in front of everybody's face. This is in 2020, Biden talking about, we have overwhelming evidence from the intelligence community that this is a hoax, and oh, this is just some Trump stuff. It was all real. That story blows my mind. All you gotta do, fair warning, you can look it up yourself. There's lots of videotapes out there, pictures, everything regarding Hunter Biden. The most darkest things out there. And they sat up in our face and told us that it was fake and they were just doing this before the election. When in reality, it was them colluding with the feds to block this information from going out. Because why? Because you didn't want this to harm the election and how people were viewing you and the votes for Biden. Because you know, had that story been come out as real and as true and not Russian misinformation, the votes would have went out differently. But with how much people were banned in 2020 for talking about COVID and they were all right, for talking about this story and they were all right, pisses me off because I was a part of those two groups and it just, people still cling on to stuff like that. You know, that does some real damage when there's people like me and other content creators out there that are just trying to spread the truth for what it is. And we're being lied to and played in our face
This fall for the drama, fall for the comedy, fall for the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Stop. Trump and Mexican people.
They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Now, you've tried to clarify this statement in recent days, Donald, but I guess the question comes down to this. Do you regret saying that specifically about rapists, or do you stand by it?
No, not at all. Of course, it's not only Mexico. If you let that run a little bit longer, it talks about people coming from all over. They're coming from all over. They'll soon be coming, and probably already have, be coming from all over the world.
And there are from all over the world. You got Russian people sneaking into the border at Mexico. You got Chinese people coming into the southern border. Africans coming into the southern border. Indians coming into the southern border. They're literally coming in from all over the world. And per the news outlets at the border, they are bringing in criminals. Criminals are coming in. Obviously, if you just look at this with context, like everything else, it's clear he's not talking about all Mexicans. Why are there Hispanics for Trump? Why are record numbers of Hispanic people voting for Trump if that was the case? It's not just look into the information for yourself. You have to. But for mainstream media to just stick on this lie, he calls Mexicans rapists. Some of them are, yes. Yeah, some of them are.
Last 7 weeks, more than 80 migrants with previous criminal convictions were caught trying to cross into the United States illegally in the El Paso sector. According to Border Patrol, a pair of migrants from El Salvador who had ties to gangs were wanted for homicide. Another migrant who was also wanted for murder was sent back to Mexico. CBP says that many of the migrants are aggravated felons, sex offenders, child predators, drug traffickers, and drunk drivers.
The man didn't lie. When you look at these things with the context, which I wish the mainstream media did, we'd be in a much better place. Truly. We'd be in a much better place if everybody was just more honest. More honest and upfront, but not even just that. I'm not even going to push it on them to be more honest. If more people like you and I, if we spread more of the truth and we encourage other people that around us in our circles to look at the full context of a lot of different things and not just run off these little clips. You can't allow yourself to do that. Again, especially with the media and Trump, they say he's racist, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic. Record number of women vote for him. Record number of blacks vote for him. Record number of gays vote for him. Record number of trans. Like everybody you're saying that he hates, the same people are coming out in droves supporting him. Ask yourself why. And why isn't the mainstream media highlighting that or showing that? Why is one side of the media saying he's calling all Mexicans rapists? But if you look at the news, they just caught about 60 of them. You guys, I can't make this up. Trump put kids in cages.
At the debate in Houston, you said that during the Obama-Biden administration, and I quote, "We didn't lock people in cages." But you actually did. Well, not in the same numbers as in the Trump administration, but you did. We found a picture of an 8-year-old boy from Honduras.
Yes. And what this
was
if you know,
in 2014 in a detention center in McAllen, Texas. I spoke with the
yes.
photographer,
And what happened
John
was
Moore.
all the unaccompanied children were coming across the border. We tried to get them out. We kept them safe and get them out of the detention centers that essentially that center that were run by Homeland Security and get them into communities.
Detention centers, essentially that detention center. Cages. Everyone ran off that damn lie. Oh, Trump built cages for the Hispanic people at the border. They're putting kids in cages. You had AOC doing this photo op, sitting there crying, looking at buildings that Biden and Obama built. They're putting kids in cages. Y'all, look these things up. They are lying and playing in our face non-stop. I'm glad that reporter called his ass out too, talking about, well, we never put kids in cages. And that man said, well, here's a picture. This is the same thing that Trump's using that y'all built. These lies, they never stop. I want them to stop. I do. I want just the real news out there. Full context, full news, no slanderous lies. Biden, why are you all these years later talking about we never put them kids in cages? You did. Or hell, even Obama, talking about there's good people on both sides. Obama, it was a debunked. If you just listen to 30 seconds later, Trump literally debunks it. They're lying to you. They're lying to us. Straight in our faces. Minors aren't physically transitioning.
My name is Chloe Cole, and I'm an 18-year-old detransitioner from the Central Valley of California. I started socially transitioning and identifying as transgender when I was 12 years old, and I was fast-tracked onto medicalization at 13, starting with puberty blockers and testosterone, before I went on to get a mastectomy at 15, and I stopped transitioning at 16 when I realized that I had regretted my transition and that it was starting to cause me emotional and also physical harm.
Which we're friends, so we're working on something together. She will be on this channel, but this is Chloe Cole, a detransitioner who got a double mastectomy at the age of 15. So yes, when they're online talking about, well, oh my gosh, Trump is homophobic, Charlie Kirk is homophobic, Amir is homophobic, all these people are just homophobic and transphobic, they don't want trans youth. We are listening. You telling us to listen to LGBTQ plus voices? Bingo. We did. And this person regrets being literally mutilated. Her voice matters. And we're not hateful bigots for entertaining these voices and hearing these trans kids out. So when you have people on the left and at these gay pride events about, they're saying there's trans kids and this is not happening. These are not medically transing kids. Yes, they are. They literally are. And they're suppressing this information from us. It's not fair and it's not right. But here's another check Another tally on this damn fake news and all the lies that mainstream media has been telling us. You want to say, oh, kids aren't transitioning? Here's the proof in the pudding. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how else to elaborate on it. It's right there. The name's Chloe Cole, and there's other people out there that their stories deserve to be heard too. Elon Musk is a Nazi. I love how
if you or a loved one were sexually abused at these Illinois youth facilities or treatment centers, you may qualify.
Elon Musk does this. My heart goes out to you. The world stopped. Everybody melted. I'm driving my Tesla and I got liberals screaming at me, flicking me off. True story. People keying cars, keying Teslas, or the whole nine, because this man's a Nazi. But when Cory Booker does it, on the left, it's fine. It's no problem. The hypocrisy, the media. We all saw how long and hard they went on about Elon being a Nazi in that damn salute. Man, he wasn't saying my heart goes out to you. Cory Booker does the same thing and it's crickets. It's not fair, you guys. It's wrong. It's fraudulent. But I hope this video really highlights and shows just how deceptive the media can be. I'm not saying sometimes they aren't right. Yeah, but I'm also saying don't blindly follow them. And that's what I did for so many years. And that's what a lot of people genuinely do, because we're oftentimes told the media is a source that we can trust completely. And I'm here to say we cannot do that. I know that the top biggest lies that immediately come to mind that the media was pushing that ended up not being true. And of course, an honorable mention would be like Jussie Smollett or Nick Sandmann, that interaction, Bubba Wallace, that one, all of BLM. Hello. There's so much out there, but those are the most like notable ones that were very quick and easy to debunk immediately. And then I wanted to show, because we're oftentimes hearing these things nonstop, and we have to set the record straight. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Be sure to share with somebody that you think it can be useful for them to see. If they're constantly listening or blindly following mainstream media or what their friend group is saying, maybe this would be a good source for them to see, like, hey, here's a video of debunking the top lies that the media has spread. And maybe it, you know, changes some people's minds, maybe it wakes some people up. Who knows? But regardless, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. It means more than you know. Sharing this content, liking and supporting it, just, I don't know, it means a lot. I'm very thankful for it. I'm honored to be in this position, and I'm grateful that you guys trust me, spread my content, and I read all your comments and they make me so happy, and I'm genuinely just thankful. And I have an immense amount of gratitude to be where I'm at today, and it's because of all of you guys out there. So thank you, seriously. And I hope that you know that regardless of whatever you're going through in your life, I don't know what you're going through, what kind of hell has been thrown your way, from family drama, friendship drama, relationship drama, work, school, I don't know. Whatever's being thrown at you, do know it's called going through it for a reason. You're not stuck there. You will survive. You are stronger than what you've ever imagined yourself to be. And whatever's thrown at your way, there's nothing that is put in your path that you can't work through. You're way stronger than what you think you are. So keep your head up, focus on you and only you, lock in tunnel vision, and you will achieve your goals and dreams. You can become the best version of yourself that you're destined to be. So with that being said, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Amir Odom, and I'll catch you in the next video. Deuces.
Alrighty, guys. That does it for today's episode. Man, nearly 2 hours. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Thursday is kind of iffy. I have no idea if, you know, I'm gonna record on Thursday, but tomorrow I will be back. So yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, morning, whenever it is you're you know, listening to this.